Aloha everybody, thank you so much for watching. I'm Mike Ferris, and don't forget to subscribe and check out the description box below where you'll see a list of colors and materials for this painting, and also links to my Instagram and on Facebook at Ferris Art on my like page where you can see other pieces and also inquire about purchasing any art. So now with this painting I'm going to show the different values of red back and forth and how we build details on top of some base color, and just how that will bring out the texture and the realistic effect of these shiny, awesome paradise anthuriums. So now let's get to the lesson. So I'm just going to start off with this drawn out, and I did use some transfer paper in black and used my stylus to trace out this picture that I had already drawn beforehand. I used an 11 by 14 inch canvas as I'm using, but I used the paper of that same size and did 1 inch by 1 inch squares, and that just helped to locate everything properly and bring out the dimension and the angles of everything the right way. So go ahead if you're following along and pause this. And I did not put all the details of everything that I'm going to put in these flowers. I just drew out just the general location of where all the highlights and just different areas of change will be to give it the dimension that it has. So now let's get started on the paint. So starting off, I'm going to take some raw umber and permanent black and just going to make this dark mixture, and this is going to be just for the background color. And so I'm using my 3/8 angle brush. And with that I can get really precise lines, and that helps me stay just right on the edge, right where this anthurium is. And so I don't want to bring that black into my flower because it's a little bit difficult to cover up black. And my suggestion, if that were to happen, or if you end up going inside your lines, take some titanium white and cover up the part that you don't want in there, and then when that dries, go ahead and put your color on top of that you were going to use, and that will take care of that just fine. So just going to block in everything in the background like so. So now I'm just going to take some of this Cad Red medium, and with that right out of the bottle, I'm not going to mix it with anything, and this is just going to be a base coat for now. And I'm just going to put that down and cover up everything except for the stem that's coming out of these. And I'm not really worried about the lines of my details because this red is transparent enough that I can still see through it enough. And so now you can see why, if I were to get some of that dark background in there and accidentally go into my flower a little bit, why I would have to put some white over, let that dry, and then put this red on top of it, because obviously the background is much darker than the lines that I have drawn, and so that would take a little bit to cover that dark up and not be seeing that. So just going to go ahead and block all this in for now, and then I'll come back and we'll start varying the colors back and forth and adding highlight details and everything that goes with this. Okay, so now I've put on my palette some Cad Yellow, some Phthalo Blue, and some Cadmium Orange, and then of course titanium white. And so I'm going to mix a base color now for this leaf color, so a little bit of Phthalo Blue and Cad Yellow. And any proportion you want to make is fine, it's just a general green. And right now this is just the blocking stages, this is the first coat of paint, and as I've said in other videos, if you've been following that, of course this isn't the final touch, this is just the rough draft or the base for now. So now I'm going to take some Cad Orange and just a teeny bit of that Phthalo Blue. Those are complementary colors, so that will dull down that orange. And now I want to warm it up with some Cad Yellow like so, and just a teeny bit of that color on my brush, and then titanium white. And now with that I want to make this light dull orange color like so, and that's going to serve as part of the colors within these stems. So now I'm taking some Cad Yellow and Cad Orange, and just about even mixtures. You can mix it however you want, more to the orange or yellow side. I'm just kind of going for sort of this Indian yellow, and with that I'm just going to go ahead and brush in on the other part of this stem, because there is going to be a color change from the light into this vibrant sort of yellow-orange color. And so when I go over this stem now and I put this yellow color down, right when I start to bring it into the other color before, I'm going to dust it over this just to barely touch the canvas with the brush, and so in that way it sort of blends into that first color that I put down. So I lay down a little bit more pressure there, and then out here barely touching it and just going to blend it in like so. So now I'm going to take that dull light orange color the before, because I felt like I went over too far with that yellow. So look, you can just knock it back like that. And this is what's cool again about acrylics. You can take colors and just do whatever you want. You can knock them back with the other one or vice versa. You can decide where you want your highlights and how much of them you want showing, or what you want covered up and left showing to build the texture you want to build. So see right here, I'm just going to lay down a little bit heavy here, and then I'm going to bring it up a little bit, and I'm just going to barely touch the canvas where it meets that yellow. See, and it's going to blend in like so. And again right here. So it's not really about drawing. If you've watched some of my videos already, you've seen what I do. It's really about the color values and how you place them together with others to tell your story of what you want people to see and how you're going to build your picture. Because I'll tell you, the brush and the colors are literally all there, and the whole world of photography is literally in your brush. So now what I've done is I've taken some of that same red that I used to block in the flowers with, and I put just a little bit of titanium white. And so with that, I'm just going to start scratching those in right where I put all those lines of details that I laid out. And again, I didn't lay out every detail because I am leaving myself room to kind of do some of my own thing and put in some extra highlights here and there. And I just kind of felt like, why be exact about everything? You know, do something general, but then have a guide or a base where I can take my details and kind of play with them any way that I want. And so that's what I'm kind of doing. And you can build yours however you want or follow right along. And this is your paintbrush. This is your photography world. And like I said, you can do anything with this world of pictures in any way. It's all about the colors and what you do with that brush. So now I'm just going to take and basically just put in these light red highlights everywhere where they're going to be shining with direct light. I will brighten them up along the way, and I'm just going to fill those in. And this is pretty much still the blocking stages, and now even details have blocking stages, because I'm going to go on top of details. I'm going to go on top of the base coat and basically just build it up more and more. And each time I do that, it becomes more real. The depth becomes more dimensional, and everything just starts to pop. Okay, now getting some more of that green color for the leaf, only this time with some more Phthalo Blue to darken it down. And I want this side right here to be a little darker. And I'm just going to go ahead and blend this out like so. And then also up top I'm going to put in these leaf actions for some detail and just different colorations to build up texture with that as well. And of course down here where the shadow of the Anthurium over the leaf is, so I'm going to put a little bit of that dark color right there as well. So now I'm taking some Cad Yellow and I just wiped off my brush. I did not actually clean it off because I want just a teeny bit of that green in there. And with some titanium white to brighten up that yellow. And I'm going to streak in a line right here. And as you can see, it makes the leaf look like the center of where the stem is going to be. And so now, next to that light highlight, I'm going to take that dark green again with more Phthalo Blue in it. And I'm going to go right above it, like so. And then I'm going to take a little bit more of that Phthalo Blue and darken it some more. And watch, I'm going to go right here and make this little bit of a darker, thicker line. And then just sort of blend that into the other part of the green there. And so as you can see with the value of color that I've just changed, just simple as that, now we have what looks to be a realistic leaf with the stem coming down the center and it's raised up the way it would be. And that's really all it is. It's not really about drawing. All I did was a straight line, but it's how I put those values together that made that leaf look and appear to have that centerpiece in there looking like it does. So now I'm going to take more of this Cad Yellow and white, and I kind of want some of these actions of the leaf on this side here, and I'm just going to kind of draw them out like so. And of course I did not draw anything out beforehand. This is all freehand right here, so I'm just kind of eyeballing it, and I'm not really too concerned if I get it wrong or if it's not perfect, because I can always, like, you know, cover it up with the other value of green and then start again if I want to. So now just getting some titanium white on my brush, and again I did not clean off my brush, I just more or less wiped it off. And I'm just going to brighten up the leaf now right here, and it's going to make it look more like a highlight's hitting it. So now I'm picking up some more of that Phthalo Blue and that Cad Yellow to get that darker green. And just a teeny tiny bit of that raw umber that you see me grabbing there, and that's just to darken it up even more. Because I wanted to make this a little bit more of a dramatic effect between the shadows and the highlight. And so by darkening it up this way, and I'm just going to scratch it in like so, I'll be able to achieve that effect. So I'm going to take that darker color now, and I'm also going to scratch in here and there on this side of the leaf, and this just helps to indicate just some more texture and just some darker, deeper folds and shadows. And again, that helps contrast against that light that's hitting it directly. Okay, so now I'm taking that red and some of that raw umber, because I'm going to dull that red down and make it like a shadow color. And so this is going to make more dimension and this pop even more, just kind of like how we did the leaf with the value of that center stem coming down. So it is with this one, I'm going to start scratching that in right next to all the highlights that I did. And I'm going to vary the different shades of this shadow color. So up here where the anthuriums are taking more of the light, it's not going to be as dark as, say, the bottom Anthurium, where it's going to be taking more shadow because it is on the bottom and all the different shadows from the uppers are hitting it more. So just going to scratch this in here and there, and it's going to really make this thing look like there's some serious folds and some highlights coming out. And now this is where we're going to start to see these flowers come to life. Okay, so you can see how all the folds of the shadows and the highlights are working together to create this realistic dimension going on. And so this is what I say about painting. It's really awesome, is that it's super simple. It's just a few colors, you vary them back and forth, and it's like magic. They just work together like this. So I always tell people that have never painted, and then you watch, and especially if you've never painted or you're thinking about painting, jump in and do it. I'm telling you, it's super easy. The painting is easy. The brush strokes, there's nothing to it. It's just about colors. And honestly, that's probably the hardest thing you're going to struggle with, is how to mix those colors to look the way they should. And even if they're not exactly the right way, as long as you put your values where they go within the picture, like the lighter ones where they go, the darker ones. That's why I always say use whatever colors you have. You don't have to have the exact same ones, because now you're just basically playing with, filters on a picture. They all look and work together for what they're doing. So have at it and you'll be amazed. Okay, so now I want to darken up that shadow color again, so a little bit more raw umber this time into my red. And right down here, as I was saying before, this is going to be a little bit darker because it is taking all the shadow. And so with these differences, even in shadow colors and even in highlight colors, and of course on the regular base color, I'm going to say something that I thought of when I was doing this, is that when it comes to your texture and your dimension, always think in terms of here, there, but not everywhere. And in case you didn't know, Here, There, and Everywhere is a Beatles song, but in the painting world right now, it's not everywhere. It's just here and there, because obviously if I was to cover up everything that I just did with all one color, we'd be back to the blocking stages again. And so we don't want to do that. But we do want to change the variations and build up the differences. It's kind of like music. Can you imagine if you went and saw a band and they sang the same note the whole entire song and the whole band? I mean, it would be like the worst band ever. But of course, with all the changes, the different instruments, the different pitches coming together, it makes this awesome song. And so in this way, we're creating a very awesome picture with all the different melodies of color value and basically composing it. Okay, so now I just have a tiny bit of that dark color left on my brush, and with that I'm just going to lightly brush over like so, because I do want some of those highlights to kind of show through, because in the real world it does have shadow has light playing in it just a little bit at times. And so in order to keep up with this realistic song, I had to put that in there as well and sort of dance that in there. So now what I'm going to do is take some of this Cad Red again, and once again with that motto, here and there but not everywhere, I'm going to scratch that in and just sort of brighten it up. And also in this way it kind of puts another coat down on top of that base color that I did before, and it builds a little bit more dimension that way as well. Okay, so now I've just more or less wiped all the paint off my brush. I did not clean it all the way because I did want some of that red to keep coming in there. And so mostly titanium white, and with that I'm just going to go back over my highlights now and just do another layer, because as I've said, it becomes more realistic when you do more layers, and it builds up the texture and the dimension gets a little bit more realistic. So what I want to say about realism here in painting like this is that you always want to build up layers upon layers, and you don't want to go for detail all at once. So like when you're brightening up highlights, it's always best to take that color that you're trying to make brighter and add just a little bit more titanium white in each time, because that will make it look more natural. And so if you were to just let everything dry and then just do a white streak down the middle of somewhere or a white spot, that tends to look more cartoony and it takes the realistic effect away. So always want to build up gradual, and then plus by that you get to do more painting and spend more time at it, which should be fun. So with that, I'm just going to go ahead and continue to do these bright highlights, and like I said, go over them again, and then I'll come back in and we'll add more layers of other stuff. So I'm zooming up close because I wanted to show you that as I add the titanium white, I'm leaving some of that light red there that you see, and I'm not covering all of it up like that. So by doing that, it gives it that natural glow to it that it would have in real life, and it also makes it look even brighter and more vibrant because it's got that sort of fuzzy glow that's traveling past the direct white light. Okay, so now I've got some Magenta Red down, which is a more vibrant red than before, and adding a new value now to brighten some things up. And this just helps give it more shine to it, and again, here and there, but not everywhere. Okay, so now grabbing just pure titanium white, and I'm just going to go ahead and again not cover up all that faded red or that light red. And even then, with this pure titanium white, it'll be here and there but not everywhere. And in doing this, it looks like the light is playing and bouncing, and that's what makes it look real, because in real life that's the way light really plays. So now I'm going back to my Cad Red medium, and with that I'm going to take that raw umber and this time put a little bit of permanent black in there to make it a little bit darker. And so I'm going to go around the stems with it like so, and that's going to create dimension and make it look like the stem is actually coming out of the flower. So now just a little bit of this light red again, and just going to make a few details in this area here. Just kind of using my finger to blend out sometimes, as you see there. That's a-okay. Finger painting is allowed in the acrylic world. So now I'm just going to go again with some titanium white. And again, here, there, not everywhere. Just kind of brighten some more things up. And just make this pop and give it more shine. So now for the stems, they have this bead sort of texture to them. So with that, I'm going to take some titanium white, and I'm going to take my script liner brush, and I'm just going to dot in some of these random spots here and there. And even though this is a light color, because it's not pure titanium white, because it is a dull orange color that we made pretty light, this titanium white will still show up on there. Okay, so now I'm making that dull orange again by giving some of that phthalo blue into it, and just a little bit of titanium white, but not as much as last time because it is going to remain a little bit darker. And so with that, I'm going to take and dot that in, and with the same term here and there, but not everywhere, on top of some of these white ones that I already did. And then this way it creates some of that texture and a little bit of that depth and dimension on that stem. So now I'm going to take that same orange color again, and I'm going to dot that in here and there over the other part of the stem as well. So I'm just going to basically dot these in and dot them back over a little bit, change it up a little bit, and you can do this any way you want. Like I said, you can omit this if you want. This is just to add a little bit more depth and texture and interest into the eye when you look at this. Okay, now taking that Magenta Red again, and with that, just going to scratch that in over some of this area here to knock some of it back a bit and to change a little bit of the flavor here and there. I felt like it was too bright and too dull of one color, and so I kind of wanted to add more texture and interest in that place there. And so here and there, I'm just going to scratch in again that bright magenta, just in a few spots, give it some final touch-ups here and there. Okay, so now I'm just getting a little bit of that titanium white, and I'm just going to drag that down over the tip of this stem right like so. And that just kind of helps create some of that dramatic, light and shadow contrast effect. And also right here on the leaf, I want to create that dramatic effect a little bit more as well there. And it just kind of helps bring a little bit more interest together with everything else. Okay, so I'm going to call that good. I'm going to take my script liner brush, lots of water, permanent black, and just going to go ahead and sign this piece like so. Thank you so much, everybody, for joining me and watching me. And please don't forget to subscribe and share with your friends and families and neighbors. And give this one a try. It is a little bit of some detail going on, but It's very easy. You just take that color, as you saw, you just vary it. Nothing to it. So, until next time, guys, happy painting.